In a previous video, we made the transformation that Bowser becomes when he touches a Wonder Flower. Castle Bowser. But this time, we're making the actual final boss level of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Bowser's Rage Stage. Let's start off by creating his floating hands. We'll need a piece of aluminum foil for each one. I'll mash these up, making them into the shape of his palm. Then, I'll take a toothpick and add the teeniest bit of glue and stab it into the foil. These will be the base for creating each hand. And we'll cover that base entirely with a layer of black clay and smooth it on. Now that the palms are created, I'll set them aside in a wooden block so we can start working on the fingers. So the fingers aren't just ordinary fingers. They're lumpy, bulgy, and irregular black cloud claws. To achieve that look, I'll take out some scrap clay and make many tiny balls. So many. They literally took so long to make, but the result is super worth it. Anyway, I'll also be using a little piece of wire just to temporarily build the fingers on. So what we're doing here is making the lumpy, cloudy look by sticking the balls of clay together into the shape of a finger. Keep in mind not to press too hard to keep that roundness. Then take a very thin sheet of black clay to cover over it. That completes making the finger, so let's pull it off the wire. And as you can see, I created the rest of the fingers, which did come out very much irregular in every way. Let's attach these fingers. Since they did come out in varying sizes, I used the two that came out the largest and thickest for the thumbs. I'll smooth them on, joining all the pieces together to create one gross, bumpy looking hand. And we'll copy that to the other one. Now that's the hands of someone who's evil. Ugh. Time to stick on those claws. Much more Bowser-y looking now. But the ultimate Bowser accessories are his spike bracelets. To make them, I cut out 2 thick circles with my cookie cutter, and I'll attach 6 spikes around each one. Very fancy! I'll stick those on the backs of his hands. And for the last step of the hands, we'll have to create a speaker right in the center of his palm. Yeah, I don't know. Bowser's got some moves in this battle. After laying the palm down, I'll dome out the center of his palm with this ball tool. Then I'll need to cut out some pink hexagons for the speaker's design. I made a little paper stencil to help because hexagons are a tricky shape. The larger one goes around the edges of the dome, and the small one goes right in the inner center. With that done, the hands are completed. And we can move on to the main part, Bowser's head, starting with the bottom. Instead of making lumpy, bumpy cloud shapes, we'll now be making the complete opposite for the rest of this creation. Chiseled bricks. I don't know which is worse. Maybe I'll let you know by the end of this video. This piece is pretty much the lower jaw where the bottom teeth are. There's also the big pink button that sits underneath, which is his super obvious weak spot. Once I have that brick texture looking good, I'll flip this thing over to work on it upside down. I made a properly sized paper stencil of the jagged brick walls that'll go on the sides of where the button sits. After cutting them out, I can etch in all those brick details. I'll attach these strips to the base, slightly flaring out the ends. Now it's time for that giant self-destruct button that goes on the bottom. Great design choice, Bowser! I'll also need to poke a hole into the bottom for later when I put a translucent stand so he can float. At this point, I'm going to bake everything I made so far to save my progress and solidify everything. After baking, these pieces are totally solid. I'll remove the toothpicks I was using as a handle and set the finished claws aside. And now with this base flipped the right way, we'll continue building on the top. I'll need to cut out 4 pentagonal pieces that the bottom teeth are sitting on. I guess they're kind of like his gums, but you know, castle bricks? Next are the 2 pillars that go up to the top half of Bowser's head. I want to make it where Bowser's mouth is open because I think he looks cooler that way. So I'll make those pillars long enough to keep his mouth open. The inside of his mouth is pretty much a dark void, so I filled the space with a black square of clay. I'm loving how this is turning out so far. I'm gonna do a quick bake again to solidify these pillars so I can keep building the rest of Bowser's head on top. Let's make that head! With a huge piece of foil, I'll make a Hershey Kiss shape and cover that with bright green clay. Once it's fully smooth, I can wrap strips of black clay around it to create that striped design. The thickness of the strips will allow me to mush and spread it in to make the lines the right width. Then pinch the top to get that pointy peak. There's a lot of color transfer from all that handling, so I'm taking the cotton round with alcohol to remove it. It'll also help smooth everything too. I'll make the horns the same way using the foil toothpick method. And now it's time to attach the top piece to the base. First I'll add a thick edge around the bottom. Then stick this right onto the top of the pillars and bake everything. Since it's baked, all of this is completely solid, so we can do the grand finale of making Bowser's chiseled brick face. I'll be piecing it together using thick black shapes, which is actually pretty simple. And since the horns are already baked, I'll insert them right in with no fuss. After adding the lump, I'll carve out both eyes like a jack-o'-lantern. Then insert the bright green eyes with those piercing pink pupils. It's looking okay, but having no brows is throwing it off. Let's make some super bushy bad guy brows. Perfect. I don't think eyebrows can get any more evil than this. There we go, see? Trust the process. Time to play as Bowser's dentist again, and attach his top row of 6 teeth. With the teeth done, there's only one thing left to do, and that's etch in the brick pattern all over Bowser's face using my dentist pick tool. First, the horizontal lines. And finally pressing in all the vertical lines across the face to complete that brick texture. And that completes the final boss of Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Now we can add one of the most epic creations I've ever made to the Power of Clay collection. Please visit the playlist tab on my channel to find the rest of my creations seen here and many, many more. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time!